everybody. It's the flagship show of Unlock the Middle on a Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time here. Welcoming everybody to this beautiful show that we have here where, you know what? We get people from around the United States, educators, so they could bring their tools to the table that all of us in education can learn from. Josh Tovar, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, here ready to learn from our guests today. But you know what? It's not just about me learning or that guy right there in Massachusetts learning. It's about all of us across the United States learning because we're all facing the same adversity. Doesn't matter. As long as we had that pandemic, and I'm tired of saying that darn word, pandemic. I'm so sick of it. I wish we could come up with semantically. That's why I call it the disease. But we just can't, whatever it is. But we all are facing the same recovery factor. And you know how we're going to improve on that? We're still in the airplane. We're still flying and building at the same time, but learning from each other's tools. So it doesn't matter where you are right now, whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Hawaii, whether you're in Maine, whether you're in Florida, or in the 48 in the middle. We're all getting stronger together by listening to this free podcast that's part of the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four this past weekend with Shika, with Coach Hurt and Principal Cafele, but it finishes tonight with Unlock the Middle. And we have a great guest today, Dean. What do you think about that?
Wow. That's all I'm going to say. You didn't leave me much to say, Principal Tovar, but I will tell you this. Unlock the Middle is all founded on connecting with people across the country and celebrating the stories that they bring to the table each and every day. You know, as educational leaders, we don't have all the answers, but what we do is we surround ourselves with people that can help us become better each and every day. And that's what Unlock the Middle has been all about. And we've been going now for a good few years, and we're just having a lot of fun doing it. And each week we meet somebody new. There's so many segments. Again, my name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School, one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle, and somebody who is still here having fun, learning as we go, and just getting it done. We are streaming live on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Not Instagram. I don't think we're going to get on that, though. Twitch, Facebook, all those type of things. So we're all over the place. So if you get a chance to reshare this out later on, please do that. Josh, let's talk a little bit about AC, who's coming on tonight. Rising rock star out of the state of Texas once again.
Right. You know what, Dean? A couple of years ago, I'm a conference guy. I love conferences. You know, it's one of those things that if you think you're good at what you're doing, you got to go meet other people from across the United States to see what they're bringing to a table and compare. You got to be able to compare an apple with an apple, you know? So I was at Texas Task Association of Secondary School Principals, the Texas version of NASSP. And I went into this session, and there's this young kid there. You know, remember, I'm an old fart. There's this young kid, and he's on fire. You know, like Principal Café talks about, he's on fire. He's just walking up and down. Huh?
On fuego.
Exactly. And he's talking to everybody. And that was, I believe, my first year at my former campus. And I needed a lot of SEL in there. I believed in SEL before SEL was a thing. Yep. And I go, this guy needs to come and talk to our kids. I like what he brings to the table. Not only that, but he's Hispanic, and there could be a connection because it's crucial about connecting with your audience, because I connected with him, being an immigrant to this country. And so I said, this guy has a story. Kids need to hear it other than us, our local, because, you know, kids will hear somebody else before they hear from us. Sure. And so I invited him over to come and speak to our students. Let me tell you, he hit a home run. The kids connected with him. The kids listened to his message. They were respectful. Because, you know, when you have those assemblies of 600 students per class, it can be kind of weird sometimes. And some of the kids act inappropriately. But our kids stayed focused on his message. And that's when I said, from that moment on, anytime that I could bring to light the message that this young man has, anytime that I could promote this young man, you know, I'm willing to do it because he brings the fire. And before, or without further ado, I bring to you, Dean, AC Cristales.
Let's bring him in. AC, welcome to our show tonight. It's great to have you with us, our friend. How are you?
Good, man. I'm humbled by those words, man. But I'm doing great. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I never take, an opportunity just to share my story and share my passion lightly. So thank you again.
You got it. Hey, AC, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your rise to where you are today? Let's just talk about, you're coming through the ranks, coming through your college yourself, going into the education business, doing what you did, and how you got to where you are today. Just a little background.
Sounds good. Well, before I get started, I'm just like, man, I'm not a young buck as Josh has alluded to, but it's all good. I feel young, right? So anyways, I started working, I'm actually working Garland ISD with where Josh works as well. So that's actually the school district that I attended growing up. So I started working in 2001. I'll never forget, 2001, 2 months after 9/11, I was hired as a bilingual grow your own classroom aide. There were some bilingual classrooms that were struggling, with, the STAR, the assessment, whatnot. And so I remember just getting on board. I was going to community college at that time. And, one of the professors was actually a HR director for Garland ISD at the time. And he said, hey, we're looking for some classroom aides and we'll pay for your college. And when I heard that, I'm like, I'm in, so was able to get on board. And, a majority of my educational experience working as a teacher, working as an administrator has been in Garland ISD. So I taught for 3.5 years. In fact, my last semester of college, I was teaching a newcomer class. So, there was such a shortage of bilingual teachers at that time. And he was like, hey, is there any way you can set up your last semester where, all your classes are at night and I can get you, I can hire you on as a non-certified instructor. We need, a bilingual instructor. So I was like, yeah. So it was a tough semester, it was taking 15 credit hours and I was teaching third grade newcomers. The good thing about that was that the class was small. So we had about 12 students in that class. But after that, immediately went back to the campus where I was a classroom aide, taught for 3 years, finished my master's. So at 24, I was done with my master's, and then I became an assistant principal. So I was a young assistant principal, thankful for the opportunity that they gave me in spite of the age, because sometimes there's like, does this guy have it? But, one of the main reasons why I wanted to jump into administration and was so eager to do it is because I knew that as a teacher, I was limited to who I could impact, right? I could impact, my 25 kids, but as an administrator, you can impact students, you can impact staff, and you can impact the parents. And so I always wanted to be that advocate, that liaison. And I'm a nerd, man. So I remember just reading articles and whatnot, specifically about, minority parents. It's not that they don't, specifically, Latino, Spanish speaking parents. It's not that they don't want to be part of a school. Sometimes they just feel that there's no one there that can talk to them. So me being fully bilingual, me understanding the culture, I'm like, I wanted to do that. So again, at 24, 25, I became an assistant principal, did that for 8 years. And then there was that itch, right? We always tell our kids, hey, you have to dream big. And Josh knows this. This is one of the messages that I share whenever I speak to students about dreaming big, is you have to go after it. There has to be some action, because just because you dream big doesn't mean that things are going to happen. So at 32, I was like, you know what? Let me do this. Let me see if I can do it. And so I started doing some consulting. I was able to get on board with a government agency that does, gang prevention programs. So I started working with school resource officers. I was doing, some consulting for them, teaching school resource officers on how to connect with kids. And so I've been doing that with them even to now, thankfully, because of COVID, kind of the restrictions are gone. I was able to be in New Jersey last month, and I was in Georgia a month and a half ago. So, but with that, throughout all that time, doing my programs, meeting great people like Josh, getting that opportunity to impact kids, impact staff, impact parents. I always say this: if I can get the trifecta, and the trifecta for me is speaking to students, speaking to parents, and speaking to staff, I'm in, man. And so whenever school districts offer me that opportunity, it's great. But in the midst of from 2014 to where I'm at now, I started working on my doctorate. Started teaching sociology at the community college. Did that for about 3.5 years. COVID just messed that up because the enrollment's gone down so much at the community colleges. But I'm proud to say, and I do feel very, very honored to say this, that next month, October 14th, I will be defending my dissertation. So I am going to be done, and I will be Dr. Cristales. And it's just a testament, not just to me, but to my mother, who was, has the highest grade she completed was the 5th grade. And here I am, going to be a doctor, in the family. So I'm just so grateful for that. But yeah, that's where I'm at now, just trying to, one of the questions you asked me before we went on, we came on, it's like, what do you plan to do? I'm taking it day by day and believing that the right door is going to open for me. But more than that, I just want an opportunity to impact. So that's a little bit about me.
I love it. Josh, dig in.
So AC, if you all don't know, AC has a podcast out there here. So I highly suggest that you listen to it. If you all know, I listen to a lot of podcasts to make it's free PD, no excuses. And so he's one of the individuals that his moniker is mission driven. So what can you tell us, AC? What is, in your vision, mission driven?
Well, to me, It's simply knowing this, that a lot of people struggle, right, with finding that purpose in life. So for me, mission driven is, having that purpose, having that mission, as you say, Josh, having that why, right? Having that why, because when you have a mission, when you have a purpose, I truly believe that you live life differently. And so you don't have to hit a certain age for you to have a mission, for you to feel that you have a purpose, right? Because even my daughter, I have a 13-year-old daughter, and I forgot to mention that, but that's probably the most important thing about me. So my daughter's 13, she plays club soccer, and before she started school, she started 8th grade. Next year she'll be in high school, and it's just, man, it boggles my mind how fast time is flying. But I took her out on a dinner date before she started her 8th grade year, and I said, hey, what are your goals? Because it's never too early. It's never too early to start talking to our kids. That's why what you guys are doing with Unlocking the Middle and working with middle school students is never too early. Because I actually started speaking and writing, and when I was in middle school, there was a teacher who said, hey, you're a good writer, and lo and behold, who knew 25, 30 years later that I would be using some of that talent. But I was talking to my daughter, just letting her know, hey, what are your goals? How can we get there? And so one of her things right now is she wants to play collegiate soccer. I'm like, okay, well, what is it going to take? Number one, your grades are important. Number two, it's practicing, it's doing the work that others won't do, so you can have the results that others can't get. And so mission driven to me is being intentional about things, is living life on purpose, is knowing that, hey, you know what, I may get knocked down in life, I may go through some challenges and struggles and whatnot, but I have a mission. And the best way that I can explain that is I'm always big on concrete examples. This year has been just a challenging year for me, and in the midst of it, another thing that I'm so proud of is that I've been able to finish my doctorate in the midst of the failures that I've experienced, in the midst of the moments when I was just like, man, I can't do this anymore, right? But I fought through it because I had a mission. So there it goes again. When you you have a mission, when you have a purpose, you live life differently, and that's what I want to share. And especially now, we understand. Teachers are struggling, administrators are struggling. There's just like, what are we gonna do? Well, your mission is what keeps you going, right? Your mission, you can control that. You can't control the outside factors, but you can control how you live your life. So one of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Viktor Frankl, and he said this: everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So again, you can't choose the circumstances, but you can choose your attitude. You can't choose how you wake up and attack each day. For me, Josh knows this. I'll tweet at 4:30 in the morning. Great things are happening because I'm mission driven. So that's what it is.
Telling a story, getting out in front, creating the positive ripple, having that inner fortitude to lead by example will only set you on fire. And I'll tell you, that's just really, really, really good stuff, and so important in public education. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Let's take a second now and let's talk about organizational culture from your lens and why it's so important that the culture of the buildings that you're in or wherever you're working has to be so set up to be celebratory, creative. It has to be supportive, empowering, all those type of things. And I'm going to just pass that over to you for a second because I want to learn from you.
Yeah, for sure. So I took that, when I was talking to Josh, about, what we were going to discuss. I just like, what, hey, this is fresh on my mind. I've been in the library the last 2.5 months, knocking this dissertation out. So I just started, hey, let me just share some things from my findings, right? From my doctoral findings. And one of the things that, whenever you're doing a dissertation, before the institution, the college or university releases you to actually be able to do the study, the question is always, hey, how will this benefit the institution? How will this benefit the college, right? And so in doing the study, I'm like, okay, I did a qualitative study where I interviewed 6 students, who were Latino students, who were undocumented students, and I gathered their stories, analyzed it, and this is what I got in terms of organizational culture, right? And I like to define culture simply as this: culture are your practices, your values, and your beliefs. Okay, just keep it simple. Your practices, what you practice on a daily basis, your values, what's important to you, and your beliefs, those convictions that you hold to be true. So in speaking about organizational culture, what I got, 3 main things that I was able to get from my dissertation was this: the importance of understanding your students, understanding their experiences, understanding that, maybe they've gone through things that you have never, experienced, that your staff has never experienced, and realizing that those experiences shape who they are. They shape who they are. They influence their decision making. So the understanding piece is so, it seems so elementary, but we miss it so many times, right? Because we think, well, why doesn't this kid do this? And why doesn't this kid do that? Well, do you know what this kid has gone through? And in my dissertation, there's stories, I would never forget this story. In my dissertation, when I was, interviewing one of the participants, she spoke about how she remembered this. She remembered that her mom, before they crossed the border into Texas, her mom took her birth certificate, took her baptismal record, and put it in a plastic bag, and then put it in her jacket, and then sewed the jacket, right? So when they crossed the border, they crossed the river, those documents wouldn't get destroyed or wouldn't get damaged or whatever. And I was just like, wow, I've never gone through that. I've never experienced that. So to think about these experiences that these students have gone through, it's so important. So organizational culture, understand your kids, understand who you're serving, right? Because they're not all the same way. And when you understand, who your students are or who your community is or who your parents are, you can better serve them. Number 2, taking action. You got to take action. You got to be proactive. So how do I prepare my staff, right? What in terms of professional development, again, Josh is always big on professional development. Okay, how are we growing? How are we learning? Because if we're not growing, we're not learning, then we can't serve our students. We can't serve our community. We can't serve our parents. So taking action. And then the last one, and this is the big one, is the importance of validation. The importance of, supporting, giving that support to students, providing that sense of belonging. That's huge. And in the study, it talks about, right, there's one student who shared that after the decision when, President Trump was in office and he said that they were going to take away the DACA program, how, she went to community college class and she was crying. But it was a professor who said, hey, it's not what happens right now. It's what you do now. And so she said, when she heard her professor encourage her, validation, she's like, well, I can do this. I don't have to feel defeated by this, So, man, it fires me up, just to hear those stories again, because these are real, authentic stories. These aren't things that I read in a book. These are things that I actually just, was able to get from these interviews. But again, to me, it helps me on how can I use this information to better support wherever I'm placed at, wherever I'm serving, whether I'm serving a school district, serving a specific school, because these are things that, again, in order for our students to be successful and persist, because the whole point of my dissertation is like, what causes these students to persist? What encourages, what are those factors? And that's what they talked about, that validation from parents, that validation from school, from staff and faculty. So it's huge. It's so important. And again, that ties in to how does your organization operate on a daily basis?
Your foundation's strong, brother. I can tell you right now, you got it. You got it down to a science. Good stuff.
Thanks.
Josh.
So when we have our students in the classroom, doesn't matter culturally, race, when we have them, it's crucial that they feel part of that family, part of the familia. So how as an educator, as a custodian, as a cafeteria worker, as an instructional aide, a teacher, assistant principal, everybody within the body of the campus, how can we help create a sense of belonging for everybody, not only our students, but for everybody, to include, like you said, the trifecta, the parents, the community, the people that work at the campus, and the kids. How can we create that with a strong sense of belonging, which is crucial to academic success?
Well, it ties into your values, right? It ties into your culture. So how do you interact on a daily basis? Your practices, right? The way that you interact, what are the first things that you do as a campus leader, right? I remember I was was serving as an assistant principal at this elementary school. And every morning I'd walk, I try to walk all the classrooms, but I made sure to walk the kindergarten classrooms because they're just cute. It's different from working in middle school, right? And when I left that campus, one of the kindergarten teachers told me, you know what? Thank you, Mr. Cristales. Thank you for just coming in and just saying hi to my kids, just making us feel like we're noticed. Validation, okay? So it ties into your culture, ties into what you do. So how do you do that, where everybody feels that way? Well, Josh, I'm sure you know this, right? You treat the custodian the same way that you would treat the superintendent, with respect, because that's what you value. You value people, right? And so you have to teach that. It's modeled right from leadership. Like, oh, look at the way he talks to this person. So it all starts with what you value, what you feel is important. So if respect is important, then you're going to model that, right? If trust is important, if loyalty, communication, you are going to model that. And so again, that's something that, as I was talking to my doctoral advisor, like those are things that are free. If you can just, get on and just, talk to staff, whether it's higher education staff or K through 12 staff about, hey, this is the importance of just understanding our students, understanding their struggles, understanding their experiences. That's free. And hey, this is how you validate. You confirm, you enable them, you make them feel you build their self-efficacy up. Man. So in terms of just everybody, it's how you treat them on a daily basis.
Now, take that one step further. We talk about the importance of validation. As an instructional leader, it's our job to empower. It's our job to ensure that we set our people up for success, no matter what it is. Celebrate, empower, give them the tools to be successful. Now, let's talk about the importance of validation for the students, staff, and even the community members in the learning community to be able to reach their highest peak. So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, for sure. So the theory, right, for my study was based out of validation theory. So that's why I keep talking a lot about it. So Laura Rendon did her research study in 1994 on validation theory. And this is what she said. I'm going to read it. It said, when validation is present, students feel worth, gain confidence, and are capable of learning. So listen to those three things, right? They feel worth, they feel worthy, they feel like they belong, they gain confidence, right? That's a lot of times our kids feel like they don't want to do it. It's that mindset, right? So we talked about fixed mindset, growth mindset. So they gain that confidence and are capable of learning. So if we can do that, right? If we can, support them and provide them, that belief that, hey, I believe in you and you can do it. Well, can we just be honest and say that even though we're adults and, we're married and we have college degrees, that don't we feel the same way too when someone recognizes us and values us? Don't we feel the same, that we feel empowered as well? If we feel worthy and we gain confidence when somebody's like, wow, I mean, seriously, I got excited when you guys were talking about me. I'm like, man, I'm ready to go. Let's go. I gained that confidence. You guys were supporting me and validating me and hyping me up. I'm like, let's go. I'm ready. So adults and students are not that different. We all want the same thing. We want to be heard. We want to be understood, right? We want to know that we have a voice and that we matter. So I think, in terms of just, supporting and validating it, it works not just for the students, but it works for the teachers. And sometimes, this, right? It's a cliche that you can't serve when your cup is empty, right? So maybe sometimes a teacher is unable to do it because they themselves don't feel like they're worthy. So it's our job as leaders to say, you know what? No, I believe in you. I believe in you. Let's figure this out together.
I love the adage, a sense of purpose. Yeah. I want to give you a sense of purpose. If you have a sense of purpose, guess what? You're just going to fly. And I don't care, again, student, educator, parent, we want to make sure you're heard. We want to make sure you have the tools, and then we're going to make sure we celebrate the heck out of your successes. And it's just so cool to hear you say all that stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, even parents, when I'm working with parents, that's what I tell them too, that what you do matters, because let's go back to this, right? Let's go back to what research has shown, that sometimes, parents who do not have college degrees, who've never, attended college, they feel they can't support their students, especially, parents like, from like Latino households or, other, minority groups. They feel like we can't support it. We didn't go to college. Well, research will show that if you understand that maybe you don't know how to help out with biology or algebra, but you can be there, that speaks volumes of itself, And so I saw that again in my my research study right now. Like all the students that I interviewed, all the participants, their parents didn't go to college. Their parents weren't college graduates. But they kept stressing, hey, you know what, college, we want a better life. Look at what we sacrificed, right? We walked through the border. One participant was in the trunk, and she remembered that. She was in the trunk crossing into the United States, and she remembered that. But their parents are like, look what we sacrificed in order to give you a better life. So it's that being there for your students and realizing that what I do matters as a parent, going back to what you said, as a teacher, as an educator, and as a student, what you do matters.
I love
it. Hey, AC, I know you work with schools from different parts of the U.S. And right now, I'm a first-year assistant principal, and I'm hearing you on a rebroadcast. And I say, hey, that guy Cristales, he's talking about validation examples. Well, the whole purpose of this show is to put out tools. So what can you say that to a first-year assistant principal, first-year teacher right now that barely got hired last week, like I hired somebody last week? What can you give as an example of validating our students in class? It doesn't matter what race or ethnicity. Validation is validation. can you give some examples that we could throw out there and they can make it part of their tool chest?
It's free right here. Talk, communicate, talk with them. So for the first year AP, check this out, right? So there was a student when I was an assistant principal last year, as a matter of fact, and this whole virtual thing, they could choose to go remote, they could choose to come to school. Well, again, we had some students who would come to school, but there was this one student, right, who first 6 weeks he was acting up, right? And so I'm just like, I'm gonna flip the script on this kid. Okay, I'm just gonna flip the script, and I just called him over, right? I just like, hey, come here. And automatically, because he knows that he's been in trouble, he knows that he's been written up by several teachers, and I've talked to him, whatnot, and I've talked to his parents. But this time, he wasn't even in trouble. I just said, hey, man, I just want to talk to you. What'd you do this weekend? And he just looked at me. What'd you do this weekend? He kind of just froze. And then he told me I did this, did that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. He's like, I'm not in trouble. I'm like, no, you're not. But again, how's that validation? Because I just made him feel that, you know what, I care about him. I'm not talking to him because he's in trouble. I'm talking to him because I care. And it's those little things, Josh. It's those little things that we sometimes forget to do, man. Like, it's those little things that say, hey, I care about you. So how does a teacher do it in the classroom? Hey, tomorrow's Monday. So if you're watching this right now, Sunday, if you're going to watch it Sunday night, if you're going to watch it Monday morning before you go to work, it's right before you go into teaching. Hey, take 2 to 3 minutes. Hey, guys, did you have a great weekend? Why don't we get 2 to 3 students to share what they did this weekend, just to show that you care. I know that there are things that we have to cover. I know that there's curriculum and objectives and all these things. But if we can just take those 2 to 3 minutes and say, hey, you know what? I care about you. What'd you guys do this weekend? Oh, you did this, you did that. Man, what that builds in your classroom, that sense of community, that sense that, hey, this person cares about me, man, that's so valuable.
Relationships before content. We've been saying it since day one when we started all this stuff. Kids want to know that you like them before they're going to learn anything. So good stuff. I'm glad that you're really preaching that, because that's a big part of this. Let's talk a little bit about reaching out to families and peers and how important it is for sustainability of growth, but more importantly, for sustainability of getting through the day and making sure that your job that you're doing has complete value and purpose. So talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah. So, I got that from just, again, from the study in terms of, the students, the participants that I interviewed, again, all undocumented, all, under the DACA provision, and so there are certain things that they weren't able to receive financially because they were undocumented, so they can go to college, but you don't have a social security number. You can't get this scholarship. You can't get this grant. You can't get this money. So in terms of reaching out to families, like, okay, well, what can we do? What can we provide them? What resources are available to them? So I think it's so important, again, and that's why I go back to being the proactive part. Like, what can I provide them? Okay, so I understand that this is their struggle. This is what they're going through. These are their trials. These are their challenges. But how can I, as a leader, say, you know what? Okay, let me find you that help, right? Let me give you that help. And so you see it. I've seen it as an administrator, right? It's one of those things where, like, look, I'm here. And if I don't know the answer, I will find the answer. So making that known, right? Making that known that you're there to help, you're there to assist the families, you provide them with the tools, you provide them with the strategies, you provide them with the resources that maybe, guess what? They don't know how to find, but you can, or you can find somebody who can provide them that resources. So I think that's what's so big, because if they knew, right? If they knew, like, oh my gosh, I can do this, I can get this money, or I can be part of this program. Like, one of the students was able to get into the Rising Star program, kind of like, TRIO, Avid, whatnot. And their first year of college was paid, even as undocumented. So there are programs out there, but sometimes parents don't know where to find that. So I truly believe that as an educator, as an educational leader, it's our job to provide that assistance and let them know, hey, this is what's out there. It is a possibility, because we preach, hey, you can go to college, but are we providing them that roadmap on how to get there? Are we providing them those steps? So that's why I'm huge on reaching out to the family.
Hey, AC, any closing thoughts right now? Letting us know where people could reach out to you, get some more information. If you want to go, a viewer out there, as an administrator who made sure that he brought him to talk to his kids, like I said at the beginning of the show, he brings added value to your campus. making sure to connect to the students. I can only tell you that as an administrator of a 6A school in Texas with over 2,500 kids, his message is powerful. So any closing thoughts and how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, AC Cristales, AC Cristales. It's right there. Yeah, my name's listed right there. So also you can get on my website, acspeaks.com. Again, acspeaks, SPEAKS.com. And yeah, like Josh mentioned as well, I have a podcast. I haven't podcasted in a while. Been knocking out my dissertation, but I'm ready. No, I'm ready. Trust me. I have an outline of things that I'm ready just to knock it out. So I do got a podcast called Mission Driven with AC Cristales, so you can listen to me on there as well. But yeah, acspeaks.com, or just find me on Twitter, and I'll be more than happy to help you and provide you the value and the expertise that I know that I've gained through my 22 years in education.
AC, you've got great energy. You've got great passion. I can tell you are embedded with pride. I love everything that you stand for. And I do think that, you know what, you're just beginning. And I think that you're going to find that once you pass this hurdle, getting your doctorate, that so many doors are going to open up for you. It's going to be such a great opportunity for you to give back more to this field that we're in, man. So I'm super impressed. I'm super proud to be able to have you on our show tonight. More importantly, guys, reach out to this gentleman. AC is the real deal. And I can't wait to see it. We're going to promote you as much as we can because we want people to feel the same energy that we feel from you tonight. Unbelievable. Great stuff.
Hey, Dean. Hey, hold on, Dean. Hey.
What?
This
it's not
Thursday.
A touchdown. It's not Thursday night. What?
Hey, it's Thursday. And Thursday, we have the Red Zone. We have the Red Zone, 9 p.m. Eastern. So don't forget to join us.
This guy doesn't sleep over here, Josh Tovar. He'll put out 100 episodes a week if we could.
Right?
Exactly.
Like so join us this Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to have a special group of superintendents joining us this coming Thursday to make sure that we pick at their brains to their knowledge, because they're looking at the big picture.
So we're shifting from building-based management to operational management. Okay. Josh, that ought to be interesting.
So join us, so you could join us, score a touchdown at the end of the Red Zone. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you this coming Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern for the Red Zone.
AC, thank you so much, man. You're a rock star.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Everybody out there, have a great week. Take care. Make sure you follow AC on Twitter. We'll get all that stuff out to you later on tonight. Have a great night, everyone.